All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm almost thinking about turning this light on. I'm Nicodemus Kane, and it is, what is today? Wednesday? Is today Wednesday? Oh my. Today is Wednesday, August the 4th of 2021. And I didn't exactly know how I wanted to start this out. I mean, I know what I want to say. I know a lot of what I want to say, and I'm sure that, both, well, I know YouTube censors would probably love everything I wanted to say. Maybe not so much BitChute. I don't know. But yesterday we had some news that New York City is officially mandating mandate, as if that's even a word that holds any real true power. Mandating that if you want to quote unquote live in their society, that you have to get your injections. Have to. This is force now. This is not. Of course, I listened to what the guy said. I don't even know the mayor. I don't know his name. I don't care. He sounds like garbage to me. Sounds like New World Order tyranny to me. But I listened to what he said, and of course, he had to make it pretty on the back end of it by saying, those that don't want to get the shot can still eat outside, but if you want to go into certain places, you have to get. One of these days, you people are going to understand what it is. It's pure, unadulterated tyranny. There's no other name for it. These people cannot tell you what to do. They cannot force something like this on you. There is no law in the books. I don't care if they want to go back and they, what was the guy's name? Silverstein? No, not Silverstein. That's the guy for 9/11. What's the guy's name? We talked about him for a while. Back in, was it? It was probably July of last year. We were talking about it. He started popping up. He's a lawyer, and he was saying, "Well, you don't have the right to refuse it." Because they were talking about it back then. I mean, it was a thing back then. People were talking about that. You know, they could very well start forcing this on us. And he was, it had popped up back then. Well, there's no right that says you can refuse it. Well, we have the right to be able to come to your house and take you out of your house and put something in your arm if we have to. I don't care about all that. You're not going to put anything in my arm if I want it. I don't care what the law says. Times are different. We are not 100 years in the past anymore. We're in present times, and a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed, and a lot of, I mean, it's just shots have changed. They're putting so much crap inside of shots now. You just don't even know what they're doing. But you can't do that. You can't force people to do that. There is no natural law that says that you're able to do that to somebody. And if people think that you can, then you're just as much as a tyrant as they are. But it's mob mentality. I mean, it's mob rule. And I was thinking upstairs, I've been thinking about what I want to say pretty much since I was in the shower. It just started coming to me. And I was thinking, not only are we drowning in a sea of lies, I mean, just constantly drowning in lies. Like everything we look at in the world is counter. It's almost the exact opposite of what we were told. We were told one thing in school, and when we go to look it up for ourselves, we go to research it for ourselves. It's just not right. It contradicts what we were told. And I keep saying, and I know I've said this several times, what if everything is like that? What if everything we've ever been told has been completely opposite of the truth of what it is? But not only are we living in lies, swimming in lies, drowning in lies. Not only are we drowning in lies, we're drowning in fear. Last night we watched Twilight Zone. We've been watching the Twilight Zone right before we go to bed. It's Angie's been saying that sometimes they give her weird dreams, sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. But it's usually our last 30 minutes of the day. We'll kind of flip on an old Twilight Zone and we'll watch it. Uh, Almost 9 times out of 10, the Twilight Zone has something to do with current day. So last night we saw the one about the ghost plane. I cannot remember the name of it to save my life. But then we stayed up because she made cookies, and we wanted to have the cookies. So she said, "Well, why don't we just stay up an extra 30 minutes?" Did. And we watched the second one. The second one that came after it was the one. It was one where they were making fun of a guy. It had Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in it, by the way. But it was one that it was a guy's birthday, and they were making fun of the guy for building a bomb shelter. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a radio message saying that there's something in the air that's coming over. They don't know what it is, and that people should get into their bomb shelters because these people live about 20 miles. I think it was 20 or 30 miles away from New York City is what they said. So, of course, the guy that owns a house, he only built a bomb shelter big enough for 3 people. And, of course, no one else in the neighborhood had one. And it was the whole thing about how they turned and how quickly they turned on their neighbor and were breaking down the door of this bomb shelter. They would ruin their chance to survive just to get into this bomb shelter. And I had said before, to Angie that this is just the way it is. This mob mentality. These people will ruin their own lives just to be able to, supposedly save themselves. And that's what we're getting to right now. The amount of fear, that was in the show, because that's what it was. It was fear. It was just, it didn't matter if the bomb thing was real or not. It was just the fact that it was put out there, and these people went crazy. And I had even I mentioned it. I said something about it last night while I was watching the show. I said, we don't even know if nuclear bombs were even real. We don't, because it's just another one of those things that when you look at it, you've got guys that are walking around supposedly eating little tiny pieces of radiation or radioactive material. We don't know. We don't know. Of course, then she said, well, what has my uncle been working on for the past however many years, or cousin, or whoever it was? She said, I guess she's got one that's a nuclear engineer or something. And I told her, and we had talked about this before. I said, there is such a thing as compartmentalization. That the guy making, widget A doesn't know what this guy does with this widget, you know, three guys down the line. You know, just because you're making, this thing doesn't mean you know what they're going to do with it down here. You're just told to make this thing and that it's for this bigger thing, and there you go. Three guys down the line, this guy may take it, throw it in the trash because he knows that it's worthless. You don't know. You don't know what these things are made for. That's compartmentalization. That's how NASA works. But we talked about that, and I said we don't know. I mean, I don't. I told her, I said, it's not like he's, it's not like he's willfully participating in it. He may not even know. It may be that he's just told to do what he's told, because the education system is set up in a way that we're just meant to go along with whatever's happening, and he doesn't know. He just thinks that he does what his books tell him to do, pretty much. We don't know, but it's all about fear. It's always been about fear. It's the lies that lead to the fear that lead to this mob mentality, and we're getting close. And it's showing. It's really showing this mob mentality. These people that I just randomly hear on Twitter that I'm not following, but the ones that will say, you just need to die and go to hell if you don't get your shot. Those types of people, people crazy, and it's just insane. These people are more than happy to give up every freedom they have ever enjoyed just for a little bit of safety. And according to Ben Franklin, you don't deserve either of them. Sorry, you know how my nose gets. So I was hoping that, just like France and Italy, that as soon as this happened, that you would see the poo trucks in New York City spraying shit all over the city hall or whatever they have. But of course, I didn't. At least not yet. Um, because yeah, as soon as they did it, I think it was France. I think it was France. As soon as they mandated the injections, that they had shit trucks, sewage trucks. I don't know what the hell they were. Septic trucks. I don't know, shit. But they were they they had somebody that was out there shooting shit into the windows of the whatever it is, Parliament building, whatever. I don't know. Like, dude, that's the way it needs to be handled. That's the way it needs to be handled. What it's there's more of us than there are of them. There really are. Last time I looked around and counted, there's maybe what 8,000 of them, 7 billion of us. you know, but of course they have everybody indoctrinated. They've people. What was the thing I had heard the other day is people don't want to rule themselves. It's been like that for years upon years upon years. They don't want to rule themselves. They want somebody to tell them what to do. That's in the Bible too. Whenever the Israelites came out of Israelites came out of Egypt, the first thing they said was, we need a king, somebody to rule over us. Of course, God was like, you can, I went through all that trouble, and you guys want to be put underneath a king again. Right. But that's just the way people are. People are like that. People don't want to take responsibility into their own hands. They want to have somebody else tell them what to do. You give up a little freedom for safety, you deserve neither. That's how it is. So now your supposedly elected officials are now screwing you over from top to bottom because you don't want to rule yourselves. So now we're here. So now we're here and we're watching as far as I'm concerned, is the end of the world. I don't think it is. To be honest, I don't think it is. I think that hopefully this will be the thing that snaps people awake. I don't know. The complete absurdity of it is, as soon as I woke up today and got on Twitter, it was protests are being planned for New York City. I was like, why is anything being planned? You should be out there right now. Wow, did that should have been the powder keg to that should have been the fuse to light the powder keg of this whole nonsense. Why are you planning on it? And of course it said on Monday, August the whatever, which I guess is going to be the 9th or the 10th. Massive protests, and I just like, ugh. I had to say, why are you planning on anything? Why are you planning anything? This is not a tea party. This is a revolution. This is not something you plan. I've already had a problem with people putting out the plans for protests on Twitter, which is absurd. Absolutely absurd. We're going to tell the enemy what we're going to do. What we're going to do. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. I think it's come too far. People let things slip too far. I don't know where the Christians are. I don't know where the true believers of God are. Are you waiting? Are you waiting for it to fall apart? Are you waiting for Christ to come back and take you away? Is that what you're doing? I get it. What the book says. But the book also says it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. The book also says that we have the ability to turn it around. We do. We have the ability to take it into our hands and turn it around. But we're not. Everybody's just going along like nothing's happening. I have asked and prayed many, many times what I'm supposed to do. What I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to fight it? Am I supposed to let it go? Am I supposed to wait? What am I supposed to do? On just about every single occasion, I have been told in God's way, you know how it works, that I'm supposed to stand up to it. I can't be the only one being told I'm supposed to stand up to it. Why am I supposed to be? Why am I supposed to stand up? I'm nobody. Nobody. I'm nothing here. I have not trained for anything. I have not done anything. All I do is wake up in the morning and, try to get through my day at work. And then I just see all this stuff. The Father has given me discernment on everything I see. It's awesome. I appreciate that. But when it comes to this, what am I supposed to do? You know, I'm supposed to fight it. It's what I keep getting told. Supposed to be one of those that lasts to the end, that does not take the mark of the beast. You know, that was another thing I was going to say too. You know, you know that we we have become a godless nation that does not understand what is happening when the supposedly most Christian country in the world does not understand what Revelation 13 says. Revelation 13 says something along the lines, and I cannot quote it word for word, that the beast causes everybody, young and old, big and small, to take a mark in their forehead or in their hand, so that they may not buy or sell without the mark of the beast or the number of his name. Of course, that number is 666. Which I had this whole thing planned. I was actually formulating it in my head. I was going to do a whole video from the very start to the finish of this whole thing. It has been shown to us. The number 666 is in everything. From the barcode, and I'm still skeptical about that barcode thing, but I understand it. The lines in between, the lines on the ends and the one in the middle, the lines are the barcode lines for 666. I get that. I understand that. It's an interesting concept. Um but computers, just computers by themselves, the first Apple computer being $666.66. The I was looking up something about the hypertext, the language, HTML. Couldn't really find much in there. But of course, you have the World Wide Web, www. That's 232323. It's 666. Um, there was some other ones too that are not on top of my head right now. But it goes to the patent, the WO 060606, the patent that makes it to where they can inject something into your body that will harvest cryptocurrencies. I think it's how it works. And then the other stuff too. Oh, the RFID. Yeah, the RFID. I went. I know. I don't know if I've said it on a video, but I know I did the numbers one time. The RFI equals 666 when you add them up. The chip that they put into people, I don't have that in front of me either. All my stuff is gone. I've just kind of, it's around, it's floating around this desk somewhere. This desk is a mess. Believe me. You take me out of the office and I just leave shit on the desk and it just starts piling up. I have papers upon papers upon papers. As I'm sitting here working and I hear something in a video, I'll make a note of it on a notepad and then I'll just kind of put it off to the side and it'll get buried. Um, but the chip, the in tag, was it 216? 216, which is the 6 times 6 times 6. What it is, 36 times 6. All right. 6 times. Maybe not. It was the 812. No. No. No, it was 18. Not 18. No, that's right. 18 plus 32. 216. 216. Intake 216 is what it was. Yeah, it was 6 times 6 times 6 is what. But from everything, every single little thing went it down. And yes, my computer screen went off, my light went away. Every single thing that we've seen over the past, I want to even say 100 years. I bet you if we go back to like the 1930s, you could find stuff back then that will add up to it. But you can tell every single little thing added up has had a 666 number on it. What was the other one that I saw? Good. I can't remember what it was. Something brand new. Oh, the Corona. The numbers, when you add the numbers up and then you add the actual numbers, it comes up to that too. Everything, every single thing adds up to it. But you can tell that we are definitely a nation that has strayed so far away from the Bible that we cannot even see. We cannot even understand that there's a book that tells you that all this stuff is coming, and now it's right on top of us, and yet nobody can see it. But we're right there. It's like the whole thing. That's what I was thinking about the other day, and I was thinking about doing a video, but I just didn't get around to it. Being in the dark, you know. The blue on me, like ghosters. Okay. It's absurd, man. Absolutely absurd. I was one other thing before I finish this off. Um, I was talking about education, how education works. So we were watching the show last night, and I've heard this from other people too. But your mind fills in the blanks. So the one show that we were watching before the one with the nuclear bomb and the bomb shelter and all that, it was the ghost plane one where there was a plane that lands, but there's nobody on it, no luggage, nothing at all. So they have a guy come out and he checks out this plane, and they can't process this at all. So this guy says this has to be a hypnotic suggestion, but it has to be. I had a little freeze there. That was weird. But he said it has to be a hypnotic suggestion. Is that we're all seeing it, but we're seeing the plane in a different way. Like one guy saw blue seats, one guy saw red seats, one guy saw brown seats, and all three of them saw different numbers on the back wing. You know. So he said it's not real. That it's all in our head, and it turned out that it was all in this guy's head. This guy had lost this plane like 20 years before, and his mind had cracked. And because there was a plane uh, with the same call number that landed that day, he came out to see if it was the same plane. It wasn't. You have to watch the episode to understand. It's hard to explain Twilight Zones, at least for me. So I was telling Angie that's how it works. That's how education works? Is your mind fills in the blanks. Because you can say, oh, you can tell somebody a story of, oh, hey, there was a plane that landed the other day, and there was nobody on it. It was very weird. Without ever seeing the plane, you can kind of put it in your head that there was a plane. And if the plane didn't exist, your mind starts making the stuff up to kind of fill in the blanks. You know, like how one guy saw brown seats, one guy saw red seats. We may see completely different things, just between you and me. And that there's numbers on the back of the plane, and so your mind fills in the blanks. That's how education works. Um, and I use the example like when you do math, you can do math. Math is right there in front of you all the time. You can understand how to do it. You can take two sticks and you can take two other sticks and you can put them together and you can count one, two, three, four. You can count four sticks. That was very weird how I did that. I know. Um, but you can count four sticks. That's math. Math is. They say math rules the universe, and it's pretty much because it's scientifically proven constantly. So you start getting like theoretical mathematic equations, then it starts getting stupid. But math on its basis, you can do math right in front of you. But other stuff like science, if you're not doing, we used to be a very visual species. We still are a very visual species. You have to see it to believe it. That's one of the big things that everybody says. You have to see it to believe it, to know that it's there, to know that it's a thing. I can tell you that I have a spoon in my hand, but you wouldn't know if it's true or not. Do I have a spoon in my hand, or do I have a spoon in this hand? I do have a spoon in my hand. Now you're mentally thinking, well, he's got a spoon in one of his hands, but I can't tell. But in your mind, you're filling in those blanks to be able to know for sure, what it is. No, there's no spoon in his hand. But there is no spoon. Anyways, but you're filling in those blanks in your mind because somebody told you. If I told you that there was a plane that landed, fill in those blanks. If I told you that somebody had a car crash outside the house, you'd fill in those blanks of some guy that was. You would even go so far, probably, to start filling in the blanks of how did the guy crash in front of my house. I can tell you the story of the one guy that crashed in front of our house when I used to live in another city with my ex-girlfriend, and he crashed into the telephone pole. That was a very weird day. He crashed into the telephone pole, or the light pole, I should say, because it killed our power. And I went out to see what was going on. I thought it came from behind the house. So I actually went out my back door and I saw a guy that was running back towards the road saying, call the cops. Turns out that guy was the guy that crashed in front of our house. He was hiding a bag of weed and money in one of the dog houses behind our house. He was the one that crashed in the light pole because idiots. But your mind starts filling in those gaps. You can understand that there's an electric pole. You know what an electric pole looks like. You know what a car looks like, and you can see the car coming and crashing into this thing. What color was the car? I never told you. You may have thought, hey, it's a red car. Hey, it's a white car. Hey, it's a black car. It was a blue car, if I remember correctly. It was some 4-door piece of crap. I don't remember what make or anything like that. I just remember this guy hit the thing, and cops came out and arrested him. And then one of the kids that lived behind us, one of the teenagers lived behind us, found the bag, saw the guy playing it. So we gave it to the cops. There was like $20,000 in the bag, and like 5 pounds of weed, cocaine. I don't remember what else was in it. That was crazy. Crazy day. But you fill in those gaps. So when you read something in a book, and that's kind of been the problem with education, whenever they switched over to the Polish way of doing it. wasn't Russian. It was some other way of doing it where they said we basically just need to teach kids enough to be able to make workers out of them, make good workers out of them. So when we switched over to that, we switched over to books, to book learning. Basically saying, well, this is this way, this is that way, because science tells us that, And in your mind, when you read that, when you read that, H2O is two hydrogen and one oxygens, your mind puts that together. Somewhere in your head, your mind says, oh, there was a scientist in the laboratory somewhere that took a drop of water and was able to somehow miraculously find out that, this drop of water has two hydrogen and one oxygen, and somehow they figured out, or when somebody says, hey, they made a space shuttle and they sent it off into space and they landed on the moon. Your mind automatically creates that in the back of your head that, oh, there were, all these scientists that calculated all this stuff, and there was all these people that made all these parts for this big ship, and the ship went up, and these people knew what the hell they were doing, and they sat them down, and they did all this. And of course, there's also, we went from book learning to also television learning. With television, they could create whatever the hell they want to make you believe what to. And in your mind, you fill in the blanks. Like they show you images of men on the moon, and your mind automatically assumes, hey, it's real. Some people have the discernment to look through it and ask, well, are we sure that's real? But that's the thing, though, is that your mind puts those little connectors together so that you start believing whatever they tell you. That's education. That's the education system. It's the way it's always been. My mother was a teacher for more than 30-something years. I saw her books. I saw how she was supposed to teach kids. There's no actual anything behind it. It's basically get the kids to understand this by telling them this. That's how education works. There's no real science in it. When you dissect a frog, basically all you're doing is dissecting a frog. When you make a volcano explode, you're just putting two things together and making them explode. You're not going through the processes of being able to understand this is a base and this is an acid together. Well, you're not going through that process. You're not seeing why this is like this or seeing why it's like. You're putting it in the back of your head that your mind is creating it to where somewhere along the line there was a scientist inside of a laboratory that went through the trouble of putting all this together for you. And when you have 80 to 100 years of that kind of knowledge, of non-learning, you can just about get anybody to believe any damn thing you want. Especially with television. Television, you had news reporters that would get on and they would just tell you stuff. They would tell you, such and such happened today. There was a car crash on yada, yada, yada. And they might show you a picture of a car crash. And then you fill in a blank. Or, they might say, it's going to be cloudy today, rainy tomorrow. And they might show you a picture of clouds. It doesn't even have to be the picture of clouds from that moment. That could be a picture of clouds from like 5 years ago. But you'll believe it because your mind will put it together. This is how you break the indoctrination, is you have to understand that there's no real basis of truth in anything these people tell you. You have to search out the knowledge yourself. Somebody tells you, oh, the air you breathe is toxic. you should probably wear a mask or something. Sure about that? Be sure about that. Don't just watch pictures of people falling over in the middle of the streets either, because that can't be confirmed. Especially whenever you start understanding about the campaign of lies that have been told to us for the past 80 years. That was something that came up last night as well. It's just something I want to say is that's how the education system works. That's how it works. Is your mind fills in the blanks. And I've heard other people talk about this as well, that there's no real hard evidence that comes with being told, this is this and that's that. It's all, just believe us because the book tells us. Just believe us because the news tells us. Supposedly the science is settled. From what I understand, the science is never settled. We're actually supposed to go out and test all things. Christ told us to not be deceived. Let no man deceive you. Let God be let God be truth, and let all men be liars. Something similar to that. We're supposed to have discernment on these things. We're supposed to always try to follow up on this stuff. But most people don't, because most people just don't care. They just, again, there's been an indoctrination. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to know you've been lied to. It's okay. There's one of the things I was thinking about was that when you find out that you've been lied to, I mean, even on the smallest levels, when you find out that a boyfriend has lied to you or something like that, you get crushed. You get absolutely crushed. And it hurts. And it hurts so bad that you don't want to ever believe a lie again, that you think that you've got it all figured out. But when you hear about the big lies, you really, really, like when somebody comes up and says, oh, hey, the government has been lying to you about something or other, you don't want to put that together because you think that people at that level should have checks and balances. Your mind puts that together, that these people have checks and balances to keep them honest. And sadly, they don't. Sadly, these people don't have any checks and balances. The checks and balances that they do have are corrupt themselves. It's corrupt people looking over corrupt people looking over corrupt people. Is what it is. But your mind doesn't want you, or doesn't allow you to look that far into it, because you've been told, you've never proven this to yourself, but you've been told that there are checks and balances to that there are fact checkers out there that will constantly check you, make sure you're okay. It's your mind putting those pieces together, even though you haven't been able to see it. And that's not how this is supposed to work. But it's okay to have been lied to. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It isn't. It's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault, and we're all waking up to this. We're all finding out about this, and it hurts. I understand it hurts, and I understand there's no trust anymore because of this, and that's been part of it. The people that want to rule you have figured out that the best way that they can rule you is to make you distrust everybody. That was another thing about that Twilight Zone episode. It's the amount of distrust that immediately started forming, because the guy wouldn't let people into the shelter. He made it for 3 people. And he had told them, apparently, he had told them, you need to make your own. And he spent all of, most of the past however many years building this thing, and they knew it was there. They had every chance in the world to do it, but they didn't. Build their own, but they didn't. They had every chance in the world while they were trying to break into his place to go off and get themselves prepared so that they could survive. They didn't. They would rather ruin somebody else's chance than, you know, try to save themselves. But that's part of that. They would rather turn us against each other than have us work together. And that's what the lies do to you. It's okay to have been lied to. It's okay for you to admit that you've been lied to, and it's okay for you to have your moment where you say, this really hurts. This really hurts and this really sucks. But after that, you need to pick yourself up and you need to move forward. And move forward with a clearer mind and a better heart. And don't distrust the people around you. Help others see the lie. Yes, that's what I'm trying to get at. I don't know. Usually by the end of these videos, I'm kind of trailing off. That's pretty much everything that I was thinking about this morning. Maybe not in the way that I was thinking I would say it, but that's pretty much everything I was thinking. So, I gotta go because I got like 15 minutes till I gotta work. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Do not let them tell you what to do. Do not let them take your freedoms away. Do not let them lie to you. Go out there and find out the truth. There is a truth, and it's not theirs. I don't have anything else. I really don't have anything else. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Somebody's been one of the videos, several videos I watched from somebody on YouTube. He ends it with "Stay healthy." I just want to gag when I hear him say it. Stay safe. Don't let these people win. If these people win, you're going to lose everything. There's a lot of people out there right now that are saying the time has come, the end is near, the rapture is around the corner, and God's supposed to come pick his people up soon. He promises he will do it, but he doesn't promise when. Just because the signs are there does not mean it's coming tomorrow. It's supposed to be a lot worse before it gets better. A lot worse. It's not happening tomorrow. And we have the ability to be able to change it. We absolutely do. We have the ability to be able to take the country back and turn it back the way it's supposed to be. And we have that ability. Why aren't we? Seriously. Why aren't we? We have the ability to be able to take the country back and turn it back the way it's supposed to be. to get rid of all the crap nonsense laws that they have enacted in order to let evil run rampant. We have the ability to take all that away, fix this. Why aren't we? Again, I understand the Bible tells us that this is the way it's supposed to be, that it's going to fall apart, but it doesn't have to. Several times in the Bible, somebody has said, the end is near, things are going to happen unless you turn. And some of those cities didn't turn, and they got wiped off the map. Some of those cities did turn, and they got a stay of execution. Just because it's going to happen. Rob Skiba says this a lot, and I agree with it. Just because it says it's going to happen doesn't mean it has to happen on my watch. We can turn it around, and we can help some of these kids understand what's coming. Because right now, these kids don't understand what's coming, and they're the ones that are going to get swallowed alive by this whole thing. They're the ones that are going to get hurt the most. And for all of those people that are out there sitting on their hands, not doing anything about it, the Bible says, if you even harm one of these young ones, it's better that you have a millstone hung around your neck and thrown into the sea. It's these kids that are going to be hurt the worst. We have to push for something better. We have to keep pushing until we can't push anymore. I'm going to end this. Thank you guys for coming around and listening. This was just a man, I really need to get this down before I forget all of it kind of thing. We're still moving. We're still moving. We're still having, doing our thing. I haven't been packing, but I needed a couple days off. Things are getting crazy. But it's almost exactly the way I said it was going to be, though. I said they were going to give you the entire month of June. Of course, I said that they were going to give you, or they were going to lock it down in the beginning of July, but they gave us an extra month. So now they're going to probably lock you down in the middle of August for no reason whatsoever. And then they're going to push every single bit of bullshit on us possible in September and October just to be able to get us to take the injections. So you have to stand firm, stand tall. And from here on out, I'm saying it, you have to fight back. You have to ask what you're supposed to do. And if God even remotely tells you that you're supposed to fight back, you need to fight back. God tells you you're supposed to sit on your hands and do nothing. Sit on your hands and do nothing. But while you're sitting on your hands and doing nothing, tell other people to pray and ask what they're supposed to do. Many times in the Bible, people prayed and were asked the Father what to do, and He told them to fight. You're supposed to fight. So I don't know what else to say. I know people are going to have different opinions, and that's fine. That's cool. People are going to have different opinions, but I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do. So hopefully I'll see you guys next time, and take care, stay safe. God bless.